final boss fight in video games is an essential part of pretty much every single player game I could think of. So essential, I bet you couldn't name one game without one. Go on, I'll wait. To tell the truth, I'm not gonna wait. The final boss fight can be a make or break point for a video game in my opinion. A bad final boss fight in an otherwise good game can sour the entire experience. It's like eating a really good pizza, but just as you're about to finish the last slice, the guy who delivered it calls you up and says he busted a fat one in the pizza before giving it to you. What the hell kind of analogy was that? Anyways, let's take a game. Let's see, older game maybe. Maybe the game is pretty much all boss fights. This is just the one. Mike Tyson's Punch-Out. Sorry. Mike Tyson's Punch-Out. You spend the whole game dodging and weaving punches, and beating down a gauntlet of various ethnic caricatures, all in anticipation of the fight you know is coming up with the cover star himself, the baddest man on the planet, Mr. Iron Mike Tyson. And compared to these clowns, he's a goddamn killer. Alright, let's go Tyson. What you doing, boy? He killed me at one punch! He can't do that, he got me at one punch! Alright, round two, come on, let's go. He did it again! He did it again! He couldn't do it a third time. There's no way he could do it a third time. Oh yeah. TKO? Now imagine it wasn't Mike Tyson. Imagine you spent the whole game beating down these muscle-bound stereotypes only to step into the ring for the final fight, and instead of Mike Tyson showing up, McLovin steps into the ring. It'd be no surprise if you were a little disappointed. You played Punch-Out to fight the best boxer in the world, not some nerd with a fake ID. It just goes to show that the final boss fight in a video game is a powerful thing. It's the cherry on top of a video game ice cream sundae, a test of the techniques and knowledge the player has gained in their playthrough. The video game equivalent of the SATs with less disappointing your parents and just an equal amount of self-loathing. Just the same as any good climactic send-off, usually the most important aspect of it is the climax.
But you already knew that.
This is not only the zenith of the game in terms of gameplay, but more than likely this is the peak of the story as well. All roads led to this, and it may very well be the last thing the player does in the game. So as a dev, this is your chance to leave the player off with a good lasting impression of your game. So as a dev, you really have to try your best not to fumble this shit. And believe me when I say, they be fumbling this shit. You can't make the final boss too short. If I beat it in 10 seconds, the only thing I'll remember is how disappointed I was at the end of it. But in the same vein, you can't make it too long. I don't want to sit there feathering away at a final boss doing the same shit for an hour just because they have some oversized health bar. All the climax of the fight will be lost. JRPGs, as much as I love them, you got a real knack for doing this sort of shit. But that being said, I don't want the boss to be too easy either. I mean, it might be a little disappointing to get to the final boss and take him down easier than you took down random bad guy number 63. No offense to that guy. But you would be remiss to think that you should make them too hard. We don't want 99% of the game to be played like Animal Crossing and suddenly Tom Nook turns into the Orphan of Kos. But you still want to keep a level of surprise to the fight. Everybody loves a good unexpected twist or turn. But you also don't want to go too far off the deep end and throw in some shit that's too far-fetched. But then you also have to consider what if the mechanics of your game don't really leave room for a good boss fight. Should you make new mechanics? Should you try to stretch the ones you have out now? Do you want to go the quick time event route? And please, don't do that. Nobody likes that. I think you get the point by now. Making a good final boss fight is a delicate balancing act. There's so many factors you have to consider, not to mention that the build up to the fight can be just as important as the fight itself. Every game has a different approach to it, and some are more right than others. For every Slave Knight Gale, there's a Frank Fontaine, and for every Senator Armstrong, there's a fight from Assassin's Creed 2. I don't even remember this motherfucker's name. That's how much this shit sucked. In all honesty, when I think about it, I can only really name a fair few final boss fights that on all accounts left me thoroughly impressed. So I figure I might as well end this video by talking about my favorite final boss fight in all of video games. If you fought this boss, you might have heard this a few times. Sword Saint Ishin is the final boss of Sekiro Shadows Die Twice, and I mean, even his name is badass. But before you can understand why this boss is so cool, first we gotta go back a bit. Now the boss fight starts with you fighting this dude, Genichiro. Now upon first look, this man is visibly washed. That's because you absolutely rinsed him earlier in the game. But before that, he absolutely rinsed you in the beginning of the game, and cut your hand off. That shit hurt. But you got your payback, and now he's here at the end of the game for his payback. In the same place he cut your arm off, no less. Here he is, making a last stand as the current leader of the Ashina clan. Now he's trying to protect his clan, but unfortunately, he sucks balls. You already finger blasted him earlier in the game, so now he's an absolute pushover. Goes down in one health bar too. But wait, Knowing he can't beat you, he makes one last-ditch effort to save his clan. He puts this big-ass magical sword to his own neck and cuts it, and this dude crawls out. Now who is this dude? Referred to about a minute ago. This guy is the founder of the Ashina clan and a recently deceased legend. I say recently deceased legend because he's actually the old geezer you see in the middle of the game, but died before the end of the game due to a disease. But you've heard about how powerful he was in his prime, and I mean, you don't get the name Sword Saint for nothing. Now resurrected to his prime, he makes a final effort to fulfill his grandson's wish to save the clan. And he throws the whole motherfucking book at you. He's slashing you up, testing every mechanic you've learned throughout the game. You get through his first phase, and boom! He pulls out a goddamn spear. But not only that, it starts raining. The sheer force of him pulling out a spear from the ground has caused the heavens to weep. And not only that, but this man has a goddamn Glock now, slashing you back and forth, over and over again. He keeps killing you, but every time he kills you, he keeps egging you on with this one line. And oh, you want to beat this man so badly. The rest of the game has prepared you for this. Finally, you whittle him down to his third phase. What's he gonna do now? He's using motherfucking lightning. But you've seen this before. His bitch-ass grandson used this earlier in the game. What do? Jump in the air and reflect that shit. Boom, bang, bop. You finally beat him. And what does he do? Does he keep trying to fight you? No, he's the goddamn Glock Saint. And he knows he's been defeated. He kneels down and tells you to finish him. And oh, you want to finish him, but you still gotta respect the man. You press that button and cut the shit out of him. Bada bing, bada boom. Immortality severed. It's got the build-up, it's got the difficulty, it's got the scenery, it's got the surprises, it's got the cool factor. It's so good that this man on Reddit has beat him every day for over 300 days in a row and is still going. And if you don't think that is one of the best goddamn bosses in all of gaming, I got one thing to say to you. I am sorry you feel that way.